All right, welcome everybody. This should be a pretty brief conversation. It's mostly just to provide some early details about the transition as we move from the U9 and 10 girls fall season into the spring summer season, and what the excuse me, what the winter training modules might look like, and then just be here to answer any questions that you all might have. I did not receive any advanced questions, any questions that were emailed to me ahead of the meeting. So I don't have anything in particular there. So whatever comes up, feel comfortable, go ahead and type it into the chat and we'll address it from there. Or you can unmute yourself and feel free to have a conversation. We're open to either way. What I'm going to do just kind of initially is talk about the number of children that we have in this age group and the number of teams as we kind of look forward and try to make a guesstimate or best guess or estimate what might look like in the spring. We currently had 11 girls, 11 children on the U9 team and 12 on our U10 team. And in a perfect scenario, 10 players would be kind of the roster size we would want. 11 is on the high end. When we have a number above those, but not enough to form a second team, then we're always going to retain children as opposed to turn them away as much as we can. But we want to be real cognizant. We're not going to go above, I don't want to put a hard line, but 13 would be a pretty big stretch to be there, just for number of children and playing time and substitutions and all of those other things and team culture. So I'm going to put into the chat just the information on the team formation coming up for the following season. But there's a few dates, end of January and early February, that we have for these children. So it's January 29th and February 4th. And the reason we have it at that time is because teams must be submitted to the league, to the TCSL. I think it's by the 10th of February or something in that range of dates. So because of that, we have to at least have a core base of what we think will be our teams allocated. Our rosters don't necessarily have to be set at that time. There's still plenty of room and time for fluctuation, both in number of children that register, who might register a little bit later, and then how we organize and sort the teams. So one of the things that we had done is, in the historically, the traditional tryout phase is like a real tryout, and then you select your teams and it's finalized and that's it for the season. Well, we've really moved away from that model the last 3, 4, 5 years. In fact, we moved away from it entirely as a club in this last cycle, the 2021-22 cycle. We had to bring it back in for the older teams just to provide a little bit better experience for those children. But I think in regard to relevance at 9 through 12, tryouts are more of just a catching time to understand how many children are registered. And then we're able to work with them for a certain amount of time to be able to place them appropriately on the right level of team that balances, you'll hear Taylor say it over and over again, appropriate amount of challenge and levels of success. So one of the things to note right now is that I know that some of our neighbors are holding additional tryouts, and they're doing it in October, which is new. So these groups have pushed up a little bit earlier for some reason. Everyone who played at BVU in the past is in our registration system, and the way that the league works is those registrations are binding. So if someone is interested in moving on to a different club, then they would have to request a release from us. I don't see why we wouldn't grant it, but we would just want to have a conversation about why and understand so that we can better adjust for anything that we might have missed on the front end. Joining me on the call tonight is Chris Boyce, who is the president of BV United. And then it looks like Taylor Greathouse is here, who I think many of you know is coach extraordinaire. And former director of coaching on the girls' side in our club. So we're lucky to have Taylor. Chris, is there anything you want to just say upon introduction?
I don't think so, really. It would just that we're with, so yeah, a little bit. Doing these town halls just gives us a better feel for questions that parents have, right? It's hard to know what people are thinking. So, and people don't always have an opportunity to email or call or see us on the sidelines. So we'll, as a club, we'll do a few more of these town halls kind of as age groups go, just to help. One big focus from the board side is to continue to grow and keep the players at these younger ranges and really have a robust experience. So people feel comfortable staying at BVU, and also understanding that they can get to where they want to go for the most part with BVU in terms of development and competitive play and things like that. So that's, we're always thinking about ways to improve the club and keep things going. This is just an aspect of that. So nothing that we're really concerned about with the age groups. It's just more a conversation point and opportunity to interact. So.
A couple other items to note is that our winter training is open now, and there are it's two options. So November 30th, we begin with our skills training on Wednesday nights at Eagle Ridge Middle School. And then the first weekend in January, we start our regular like U7 through 10 training at the Savage Dome on Saturday morning. So those are options for those who are looking for additional opportunities in the meantime, as we kind of run into this gap in time now where we don't do anything and we're not active. And that's because we want to encourage, children to participate in other activities and be able to do other things and explore other sports and other interests. So that would be why I failed to introduce myself too on the front of this, as I realized it. I'm Greg Holker, and I'm the director at BV United. I've been here since its inception. And before that, I was with the Burnsville side of things for many, many years. I have 4 children, 3 of which do play in the club. So I have a daughter who's at U12, and I have 2 boys who are, one is U10 and the other one is, he's currently in the U8 in-house rec league, but he'll be moving over here pretty soon. So I have a family full of BVU players as well. So I have a couple of different perspectives on how this programming works. So I think just moving from there, after just a real quick information dump, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those in the chat or unmute yourself and go ahead and ask them, and we are happy to help address those.
I had a question. Just glancing at the registration page, it brought up the fall teams. If my daughter already played on one of the she was one of the Volts, does she still register for the spring and the summer, or is that you do? Okay.
Yeah, so we do seasonal registrations for this age group, for these youngest age groups. So the fall registration is 1, and then you sign up again at spring, summer, and that season begins April 1st. But again, because we have to submit the teams to the league in early February, that's why we have to have these initial contact or tryout dates or registration dates at the end of January and early February.
Hoax, there's a question in the chat. Katie wants to know if there's going to be futsal as part of winter training, or if the skill training at Eagle Ridge is kind of the replacement or alternative to that.
Yeah, thanks for that. No, it's a replacement. So facility space, we've chosen to replace it and work on individual stuff with players. So the Saturday morning training will still have the play methodology, where there's just going to be a lot of play, right? Small groups play, and then a little bit of training, and then bigger groups play. And Wednesday night will be a little bit more hyper focused on an individual and a soccer ball. So we are changing that model.
I'm sorry for not quite understanding or catching on. So it's not necessarily tryouts, it's registration.
Essentially, I mean, we term it like team formation, right? So it'll say U9-U10 tryouts, but it's the window of time where we have an initial set of eyes on players, and we have a pool of players that we have registered, and we take information from past teams, but we still blend that into what happens live in those moments. And it gives us an idea of how many teams we're going to have at each age group. So if we have, 15 children or 16 children registered at U9, then we know that we have to go out and get some work done to make sure that we bring in 2 or 3 more children, so that we have 2 full rosters. Whereas if we have, 9 kids, then we have to kind of decide how we're going to approach or attack that. If that makes sense. As we get into April, we'll probably set like original home base teams into the league submission. But we will still say, like, look at these groups, there's still going to be mobility and movement across ages. Like if we have two groups at U9, you're going to be playing across. If it's a U9-U10 and that's appropriate for level of challenge, we're going to do that as well.
And then there seemed to be over the fall an issue with the number of coaches. Is that different for the spring and the summer, or is it the same amount of coaches and looking for volunteers? How does that work?
Well, yeah, the fall is our most challenging time of the year because scholastic soccer takes place at the same time. So you have college and universities who are playing and coaches are gone there. And then we have high school and middle school coaches who are away and gone. So our spring summer pool is generally not a challenge. Our fall is always a challenge, unfortunately. Great question.
Greg, one thing I might add, going back to Aaron's point around kind of visit tryouts or evaluations. At this age group, the kids should know to just go have fun and play like a practice, right? I mean, you do not, this is not like critical decision-making time, right? At U9, U10, the kids should just see it as a regular point of contact where they go play with their friends and coaches are there and they'll do soccer activities, right? It's not, go in there and try and storm and impress everyone. They're U9, they're U10. Go play, you'll have fun, and it'll be fine. So you want to try and de-stress it as much as you can, because our numbers are such that we'll, I mean, the teams are the teams, right? I mean, we've got it's at these age ranges, and that's generally the way it goes, right? I mean, so they should go play and not think about it as tryouts. And we try not to call it tryouts, and then people get confused what it is. So we kind of have to go back and forth team formation. And yeah, in parentheses, that's tryouts, but the kids should know that it's tryouts, right? Just go play. You're fine. It's just like practice. So I like to stress that at this age point. So.
Well, this could be a pretty short and sweet meeting. They're scheduled for 20 minutes on purpose because they generally don't take very long, but it is a good connecting point, at least for us and for the families that are interested or looking for more information in this space. And then we record this and we'll put it up on our website too. So for people that couldn't attend, they'll have an opportunity to watch and view and see some of these questions and answers. So if I don't see anything in the chat in the next couple of seconds, we'll just say thank you for taking a few minutes of your Thursday night to spend with us and ask some questions and learn. And we look forward to working with your children as as the snow falls.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.